Medieval theologians used to debate whether Satan had bones. No, really. In dusty halls lit by candlelight, men in robes argued about the skeletal structure of the Prince of Darkness. Because if Satan didn't have bones, how could he sit? If he did have bones, could he be burned? And if he could be burned, how the hell was hell even supposed to work? Welcome to the long, weird, utterly twisted history of where Satan actually came from. A storksy of shape-shifting gods, ancient bureaucratic lies, a marketing campaign that went too well, and one very unfortunate Roman poet who may have accidentally invented hell. Buckle up. The devil's in the details. Let's start at the beginning. And no, it's not Genesis. Satan wasn't always a villain. In the oldest layers of the Hebrew Bible, he's more like a divine prosecutor, not evil, just annoyingly pedantic. In the book of Job, Satan literally means the accuser. His job was to test loyalty, not spread evil. Think celestial tax auditor. He works for God. He reports back. He gets permission before he ruins lives. Yes, Satan used to have a boss, and he followed the rules. But the rabbis weren't the only ones in town inventing cosmology. A few centuries earlier, in ancient Persia, the Zoroastrians beat everyone to the good versus evil game. They had Ahura Mazda, light, and Angra Mainyu, darkness. These two cosmic forces fought over souls in a neat little dualistic system. It was clean, it was symmetrical, and when the Jews were exiled in Babylon in the 6th century BCE, they picked up a few ideas from their Zoroastrian neighbors, namely, that maybe God had an opposite. Enter stage left, a slow mutation. By the time Second Temple Judaism rolls around, roughly 500 BCE to 70 CE, Satan has started to evolve. He's no longer just a tester. Now, he's got hints of rebellion. The Dead Sea Scrolls mention a figure named Belial, the angel of darkness. Jewish apocalyptic literature gets real weird, real fast. Suddenly there are fallen angels, cosmic battles, and demons crawling all over the place like scriptural bedbugs. But it wasn't until the Christians got involved that Satan really blew up. Somehow, a few lines in Isaiah describing the fall of a Babylonian king got rebranded into Satan's origin story. The king was called Morning Star, or Halel ben Shahar, in Hebrew, Lucifer in the Latin Vulgate. That's right. Lucifer wasn't Satan's name. It was a poetic burn for a mortal king. But thanks to the church fathers reading Isaiah like it was Marvel canon, they decided Lucifer was Satan's original name, and that he'd been an angel who got kicked out of heaven for pride. That wasn't doctrine. It was fan fiction. But it stuck. And while we're at it, let's talk about hell. The Bible is oddly vague about it. Most of the Old Testament doesn't describe an afterlife at all. When it does, it mentions Sheol, a gloomy pit where everyone goes, good or bad. It's the divine equivalent of a DMV lobby, not exactly pitchforks and lava. So where did the fire and brimstone come from? Enter Dante Alighieri, failed politician and professional grudge holder. In 1320, he wrote The Divine Comedy, a poetic travelogue through hell, purgatory, and heaven. He placed Satan at the very bottom of the pit, frozen in ice, eternally chewing on history's 3 worst traitors. It was vivid, it was terrifying, it was weirdly bureaucratic, and it stuck like holy glue. Because a few decades later, artists like Hieronymus Bosch started painting hell as a nightmarish circus of toad-butt demons and screaming sinners. These images went viral, medieval style. They showed up in churches, in books, in stained glass. Suddenly, everyone knew what hell looked like. Satan had a makeover, courtesy of art school dropouts with unresolved trauma. But it gets weirder. The medieval church needed Satan. He was the ultimate scapegoat. Anything bad? Blame Satan. Heresy? Satan. Disease? Satan. Bad weather? You guessed it. Satan was a theological Swiss Army knife, and it worked. Because when you've got a terrifying devil around, people are more likely to pay for indulgences. There was even a kind of Satan inflation. The worse the world got, plagues, wars, famine, the more powerful Satan became. He wasn't just tempting individuals anymore. He was running entire institutions. You couldn't just avoid sin. You had to fight the enemy. And just like any good villain, he had minions. Demons got organized. There were grimoires, basically demonic phone books, listing thousands of infernal spirits, each with a name, a job, and a hideous face. Some had chicken legs, some spoke Latin, some smelled like sulfur. Naturally, medieval scholars ranked them by power, because apparently demon HR departments were a thing. By the 15th century, Satan had gone full CEO of Evil Inc., and then came the witches. Europe lost its collective mind between the 15th and 17th centuries, hunting down thousands of women, and some men accused of making pacts with the devil. The idea wasn't just that witches were bad, it was that they were Satan's loyal employees. The Malleus Maleficarum, a 1487 handbook written by two very paranoid monks, laid it all out. Witches fly. They attend satanic orgies. They kiss the devil's anus. Yes, really. And they do it all to bring down Christendom. No one asked how Satan managed to coordinate all this without email. Eventually, Enlightenment thinkers started pushing back. Voltaire rolled his eyes at demonology. Spinoza basically ghosted the devil from his philosophy. Satan started to lose cultural relevance. But then, in the 19th century, he staged a comeback in literature. Romantic poets like Byron and Shelley loved Satan. Milton's Paradise Lost portrayed him as a tragic anti-hero. He was rebellious, eloquent, misunderstood. Suddenly, Satan wasn't just the enemy. He was the cool guy flipping off authority. It was the original bad boy rebrand. Then came the 20th century, and Satan got complicated. On one end, you had heavy metal bands and horror movies painting him as a symbol of chaos and rebellion. On the other, you had fundamentalists blaming him for everything from communism to comic books. In the US, the satanic panic of the 1980s had suburban moms believing there were devil-worshipping daycare centers in every strip mall. Ironically, most actual Satanists didn't even believe in Satan. The Church of Satan, founded in 1966 by Anton LaVey, was more about edgy atheism than demonic worship. Their Satan was a metaphor, individualism, indulgence, flipping the bird to religious hypocrisy. But try explaining that to a school board in 1985. So, where did Satan come from? From ancient Persia's cosmic dualism, from Hebrew courtrooms, from medieval art and Latin mistranslations, from Dante's imagination and Bosch's nightmares, from insecure monks and angry poets and bored Victorian novelists. He is, quite literally, a crowdsourced villain. But maybe the most shocking part? None of it was in the original plan. There's no single Satan in the Bible, no master of hell, no horned villain in red tights. That version, the one we all picture, is a Frankenstein's monster stitched together from fear, theology, art, and marketing. He's been a prosecutor, a rebel angel, a tempter, a trickster, a CEO, a scapegoat, a sex symbol, and a metaphor. And like any good myth, he reflects us more than we reflect him. Because in the end, Satan didn't invent evil. Humans did. He just got the PR job.